at a watch party on Sunday, watching the Indiana Fever take on the Seattle Storm, a game that didn't start out in the Fever's favor, but they were able to turn it around. The fourth quarter was absolutely fantastic to watch. It was thrilling. And then all of a sudden, something was going on, and I was trying to figure out what it was. Because there you had Coach Noelle Quinn of the Storm in Coach Christie Side's face. Christie Sides, of course, of the Fever. In her face, the officials are in the middle there. Some Skylar Diggins Smith was also over there. Her mouth was just moving, and it was like, I'm like, well, what in the world happened? Well, let's just take a look at what happened, and then we're going to talk about it, because I really believe that what we saw on Sunday is indicative of, number one, the WNBA, and number two, society as a whole. Take a look. So you can see a little bit here, her inside's face, other people in the mix, the official trying to separate. She had walked away. Now Quinn comes back. Then she walked away again and she came back. And here are just a couple stills so you can get just a non-motion look at this. Okay, so I have never, ever in all my life watching basketball, playing basketball, coaching basketball, seen anything like this. Now, I've been playing basketball longer than I can remember. You know, it's one of those things. I guess I started it shortly after baby food, playing basketball, being a fan, watching basketball, and then, of course, coaching basketball. And again, I have never seen anything quite like this. So here's how the situation unfolds, and you could hear the commentators, and Rebecca Lobo being one of the two. I don't know the guy's name, but they're all kind of trying to sort this out. So it appears that Seattle Storm is filled with some sore losers. Okay, so I guess they thought they were going to go into Indiana and take care of business. And by take care of business, I mean spank the Fever. But I said it yesterday in one of the videos I did, and I'll say it today. This is not the same team. They have a different confidence. They've got some rest. They've got a little bit of swagger. We saw it with Kelsey Mitchell in the game before against Phoenix when she got ticked off with Natasha Cloud. We saw with Caitlin Clark snapping back when Copper got upset because I guess she thinks she's never supposed to get fouled. And we see in that game and this game that there's just a certain different kind of swagger in the home stretch of the league. Teams are used to just knocking them around. And Seattle had just had a 2-point loss to Atlanta. I knew they wanted to come in there and they wanted to, they didn't want to go back-to-back in losses. And they started out looking pretty good. But it didn't remain that way because that fourth quarter was off the hook. But throughout the whole game, Indiana was stay close. And then they turned on the switch and they turned it up with Lexie Hull dropping shots, with Aliyah Boston doing her thing, with Caitlin doing her thing, Kelsey doing her thing, the whole team effort, Dantas doing her thing. Okay. So apparently what happened was that Noelle Quinn was offended. Number one, that she was getting a behind kick. Number two, she was offended that Christie Sides didn't take out her starters when she took out her starters. Okay, so here's the message to Noelle Quinn. You take care of your team. It takes a whole lot of nerve for you to go up to somebody else's side of, excuse the pun, to go up to Christie Sides and tell Christie Sides that she's supposed to take whoever she doesn't want to take out of the game. It takes a lot of nerve for you to go up to another coach and tell that coach what she's supposed to do with her team. This is the kind of thing that makes me go, I wish somebody would do that mess. Is there a rule that Christie Sides has to follow what Noelle Quinn does and take her starters out? Well, some would say that's an unwritten rule. Some would say that if the other team is conceding defeat, then you take out your starters as well. Here's the thing, as Rebecca Lobo pointed out, when you're in the huddle with your team, you're not looking over there and seeing what the other coach is doing. You're focused on your team. So chances are Christie Sides didn't even know that she had taken out her starters. So the game is out of hand. So if she wanted to take out her starters, fine. If she wanted to have her starters go back in and just kind of coast a little bit and not try to run up the scoreboard in whatever little time was left, fine. Either way, even if Christie's side, broke some kind of huge rule, who are you to come on over there and run your mouth and get in her face and actually have to be separated by officials? Who do you think you are? But this is further evidence that it's not just the players. It's like a league of people who think that they can bully other people. That you would actually think that you could tell her what to do, and you're upset enough that you're going to get in her face, and then you got other players over there talking. That's some wild stuff. That's some bully stuff. That's some off the wall stuff. And some people seem to think that Sides eventually apologized to her. I hope she did not. I wish I would apologize for that. I'm going to apologize for what? That I didn't notice that you took your starters out? Or I'm going to apologize because I chose not to take my starters out? I don't have to apologize. It's absolutely unfathomable to me that what we saw happen. So here we are, pumped up, 16,000 people pumped up, and you get your panties in a wad and you're actually going to tell her what to do. No, what do you do in a situation like that? If you don't like what the other coach did, then you use that for fodder. You don't get to face them again in the regular season, right? As far as I know, I think they're done with them. But here comes playoffs. Maybe you'll meet each other in the playoffs. I don't know how those things will come down, but that's what you use as fodder for your team. You go back to your team. You say what you got to say. Listen, we're going to send them a message. We're going to get on that court and we're going to take care of business. They'll never put us in that situation again. You run your mouth, but for you to go up to her and tell her what to do with her team, that's not your place. It's not your place. And then you get an attitude about it. And we can see there how she turned away and rolled her eyes. She walked away a couple times and come right back in her face. That's just wild to me. But again, it speaks about this league. It speaks about the attitude of this league. You should have just taken your loss and gone with it. What was she doing in college? Let me tell you, there are times in college play where they are spanking people. Ask Gino Auriemma from UConn. They're spanking teams, and they still are full steam ahead. They still are, pressing people. They're still going at it, because as far as they're concerned, their role is to coach their team to play under every situation. And they know they've got more games to come, particularly when you're talking about the NCAA tournament. And so at times when I go, man, you're not going to take out your starters, they're thinking long term. And when you're approaching the tournament, you understand that the margin of victory can play into where you stand, where you place in the bracket, etc. Granted, I don't know that figures in here at all, but it doesn't have to. Can you imagine a coach going to Dawn Staley getting in Gino Auriemma's face or vice versa because of a decision they made with their team? That's just ridiculous. Bully mentality. And you're ticked off because you got your butts beat. So now you're going to act up like you back in the streets. That's number one. Number two, I've said it before. You've heard me say it before. I'm going to say it again right now. Sports is a microcosm of society, and we live in an entitlement society. This culture is about entitlement. This culture is about, you owe me something. So Noelle Quinn and Skylar Diggins-Smith and whoever else got all upset. It's because they feel that they're entitled to something. Again, even if you feel that Christie Sides did this on purpose to humiliate your team, which I'm sure she didn't, but even if you felt that way, you're not entitled to anything else. Now, granted, if I noticed and the game was well in hand and she took out her starters and then I decided to take out my starters, that's wonderful. That's fine. It's sort of like Caitlin Clark the first game back, when she just dribbled it out and she got a turnover for it because it was a shot clock violation. So she just was showing that kind of class. I don't think she owed that to them. Usually in that situation, you'll run the clock, and then you might put up the layup if there's a difference in the time. You might try to take a shot, I should say, not just a layup, but you might take the shot. So yeah, she could have done that, and she chose to clear her bench or whatever, which she eventually did. But who are you to think that I have to do that, such that if I don't, you're going to act like you acted on television in front of all these fans, and then roll your eyes and just get a whole attitude about it. Entitlement culture is manifested in every aspect of our lives. It absolutely is. And that right there is pathetic, and it's part of the problem with the league as well, with the whole bully stuff. I just wonder, I'm just going to throw this out there. I just wonder if it had been, say, Teresa Weatherspoon of the Chicago Sky on the other end of that sideline instead of Christie Sides. I just wonder if Noelle Quinn would have felt compelled to do that. I just gotta add. I just wonder. I just wonder. But the bottom line is they were getting whipped. They were embarrassed in the fourth quarter, and this is what ended up happening. And it is ridiculous. I've never, ever seen anything like that in all the years I've watched sports, coached sports, played sports. You say what you want, you think what you want, you say it to your team afterwards. If you want to have a word with me, maybe at the end of the game, not that that's your place either, but for you to do that during the game and get up in my face about what I choose to do with my team, that's a new kind of mess. And it's indicative of this league, why some people don't want anything to do with it. And it's also indicative of the culture. Give me, I deserve, I'm entitled to it. And I'm going to say this. I don't even think Christie Side, she noticed. And it's like Rebecca Lobo was saying, you're so engrossed in what you're doing in your huddle, you're not paying attention to them. And Christie Sides. But one thing I am going to point out, don't know the name, and I apologize. I watched someone make comments on this, and he pointed out something that I think is important too. He pointed out how when you look at Coach Noelle Quinn, she's got her players who came, they said something's going on, there's some kind of beef going on. They came up. Skylar came up, someone else, at least one other person came up. You see people coming up, and she's trying to push him back, Quinn, before she goes back and runs her mouth some more. But you don't see any of the Indiana Fever players come over. And I just thought that was interesting too. I mean, I didn't think about it until I saw someone else talk about it. But yeah, I go back to when I was coaching, and I guarantee you, not everyone would have come on over, but I got a player or two who would have been over there and wanting to know, okay, wait, why you in my coach's face? I would have probably had to pull him back. The assistant would have had to pull him back, but they would have at least been in the vicinity and trying to get in the mix. That's just something noteworthy. And maybe they were just as shocked as the rest of us were. All right. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I'll catch you next time, God willing. God bless you abundantly.